Crew Pros, your single source for high-quality, affordable home services. If you are remodeling, repairing, or replacing, Crew Pros are the professionals that can do the job no matter the size. If you are thinking of remodeling your kitchen or bath, needing a new HVAC system, plumbing repairs, flooring, or a complete roof replacement, call Crew Pros. Crew Pros, proud sponsor of the Grizz 901 podcast.
Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee, the beautiful land in the world.
And I'm thankful for this guy who tweeted and said I don't have that fire in my eye no more. That game right there was for him. That's what I do. I prove people wrong each and every night, and that's for him right there.
Hi, this is Tom Izzo at Michigan State, and you're listening to Grizz 901.
What's up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Grizz 901, where we are presented by Zach Jaworski State Farm, where they treat you like family. I am your host, Daniel Greer, and the other guy, we got the other co-host here tonight. What's up, Nate?
Back from the dead, baby. What's going on?
Back from the dead. And yes, Z is back.
Yes, he is.
Man.
That's perfect timing.
We have so much to talk about, right? So much to talk about tonight. Coming off of two, I won't say blowouts, right? Because that wasn't a blowout. It did cover. If you were on last night and you hammered the number with us and you hit the total, which I did both, we cashed. We went 3-1 on Grizzly Player Watch. Man, what a night. Pockets are feeling full, feeling good. I got some new video. You want to do it? Should we do it? All right, let's go ahead and try this thing out. It might just be terrible. Hey, shout out Corey. Hey, look. This is the love we need on the show. This is the love.
I got to stay away from it. I'm stuck on Prize Picks, which Prize Picks, great for Utah, bad for my addiction. So I need to get back to FanDuel, man. I was raking it in while I was back in Tennessee. It was up 500 in like 6 days. I need that again.
All right. Well, you can come back and visit your family anytime you want. But we're going to go ahead and talk through this game a little bit. We have some highlights to show you. So as we're talking about the game, give you a chance to look at, some of the things that happened during the game. So if you are on the podcast, feel free to stop by YouTube and check it out when you have time. But this is just a highlight reel. It's just going to keep on going. And so what we will do is break down a little bit of the game, give our kind of two things about the game. But it'll give you something else to watch besides our big melons, because nobody's pulling up for us, right? Nobody's pulling up. But it gives us a chance to kind of go back. So if you have something, Nate, this is me and you have not actually done this together yet. If you have something you want to see, I will by all means push the rewind button. So let's go ahead and get into this right quick. And it is going to be our new segment called Two Things. So give me your two things about this game that you saw. Go ahead.
Well, one, let's just be real. You're more excited than anything to be using your new toy you found. Let's just keep it a buck. You just want to use your new toy, which I don't blame you. It's actually working way better. I thought this would be a disaster. So congratulations to Daniel, but it is pretty cool to be able to watch these highlights while we go. Two things. Number one, I don't know. How dare you specifically doubt Ziaire ever, right? I don't know what you were thinking saying Roddy should get minutes over him. That was terrible on your part. But no, truly the return of Ziaire Williams. I have been going for it a lot, saying I think he needs time in the G League. I almost called it the Z League. If he went down to the G League, it would become the Z League, because if he's playing like that, man, then yeah, like he needs to be in that rotation up higher. I'd like to see it consistently, but that was, and I put this out in a tweet earlier today, what I wanted to see from him that I've been seeing from Roddy. Just confident all around. Those threes he took were confident. The main thing was that Euro step, though, attacking the basket, super confident, right? And so, yeah, really, really great to see that from him tonight. Looked like the Z that we were left with after the end of last season in Summer League. So it's one game. You need to see it more than once, but super, super encouraging to see that, man. Love seeing
100%.
That.
And literally just watching these highlights, we haven't seen him yet, but we will see him soon. But the thing that I saw with Ziaire tonight And it's not anything we haven't seen before, right? So it's not like, oh my God, that's groundbreaking. Like that is Ziaire Williams. It's not that. He looked like he was confident and comfortable, right? And he looked like a player that said, all right, I kind of took a deep breath. Here's a shot. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. He gets to the lane, and here's a spot up three for him. Perfect shot. That is him feeling confident that you know what, hands are out, ready for the ball. Like before, he's kind of like, you don't have to throw me the ball if you don't want to, but you can. And I think that was honestly that he was able to, I guess, feel confident enough to, hey, give me the ball. If I'm open, hit it to me, and I'm going to hit the shot.
Yeah, and there's some people on Twitter today on the thing I posted telling me, like, hey, Z's gonna be okay. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be okay. No one's doubting that. It's all about what the present production was, right? And being able to see him come back and do that today is awesome. I was very surprised. I didn't expect him to be able to flip a switch and turn it on like that, right? Because that's not been the Ziaire we've been seeing. No one would say that's the Ziaire we've been seeing since he's been back. But yeah, listen, he's playing with confidence. Looked awesome. Hopefully that's here to stay, because that's a Ziaire we all thought was going to be here coming into this season. Yeah, that was pretty filthy. That can lead straight into my second thing. I saw it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Watch this putback. If you're on here, we get the little 3-point play, which Steve-O doesn't make the free throw, so it's never a 3-point play for him. But if you see this, if you're on here YouTube, watch this putback dunk from Jaren. He just comes from the 3-point line. God, he makes it look so easy. And that's the biggest thing with Jaren is he's able to be that condor. He's able to be that player. And there's Roddy. Look at that, knocking that big boy down.
And that was my second thing, which I saved the second one. Well, I thought the better one for last, which is feed Trip like that every night. And I think they're starting to figure it out. I think we've seen them make a more concerted effort to give him the ball a lot more consistently. And I know we get frustrated because he didn't get a lot of shot attempts, but a lot of times recently he's not been getting shot attempts because they're putting 2 or 3 guys down in there on him because they just packed the paint against the Grizz, haven't shot the 3 ball well. That's why. But they've been feeding him. And then tonight was just the ultimate, give him the ball and let him go.
Yeah.
I think they're starting to figure out that will unlock so much more of the offense, and they can trust him, right? They've known what Jaren could do more than we knew what he could do, right? What I don't think they knew they could do is they could trust him to keep getting the ball, right? So sorry, I saw Chris's thing in the chat. I thought he was talking about Jaren. I was like, no, Jaren was not 5 for 18, 1 for 8 for 3. But that's okay. He can continue hate on Dylan and silence in the chat. Yeah, I think they know they can trust him with that and let the offense flow through him. And you saw what that can look like tonight. That's sort of the pinnacle, right? Ja 32, I think. Jaren 31.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. And he's getting boards. He only had 3 blocks in the first quarter. He ended up with 3 because they're like, we're not going in there anymore. We're not doing that anymore, right?
Well, I was going to talk about that is he got his 3 blocks right away. And if you saw the rest, when he was in there, they weren't going at the rim. And you saw that from Franz Wagner one time. He went up and was going to go shoot and realized, OMG, Becky, that's Jaren. And I cannot go over him. So he curled up in a ball and literally just like went to the fetal position and didn't know what to do. And that was literally, he was just giving up because he was not getting over. You're not getting over Jaren in that moment. And honestly, and that's the adjustment that people make. If there was a bet to get for 2 or more blocks in the first quarter, 100%, I'm hitting that every single time with Jaren.
Well, he gets them in the first quarter every game. I mean, he only ends up with 4 because they're like, we're done. We're not doing that again, right? It's a losing battle. So, yeah, it was obviously awesome game from Tripp. Best game we've seen from him, most complete game. But I think the exciting thing for this season, and as it relates to tonight, is we're getting this version of Jaren more often than not. Obviously, not in the volume and to the full extent, but we're getting the consistently good on offense, good in the paint, knocks down a couple threes, Jaren. Obviously, the defense and the blocking is there.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jaren has played like an animal, man. He's been the guy that has been the ultimate X factor, and I think we've talked about that many times. That the best player on the court honestly, on either team, most nights is going to be 12, right? So Ja is going to be the best player, but the X factor is completely Jaren. Like defensive, blocks at the rim. He's getting fouls at the rim compared to getting fouls on reach and trying to get his hand in that cookie jar, trying to get the steals. That's the
Every
difference.
foul.
If you get a foul, contesting a block, that's fine. Who cares, right? Because you have 6 of them for a reason. It's the whole hand in the cookie jar, trying to get those steals, swiping down has been his biggest bugaboo for forever. And so finally, why are you laughing at bugaboo? I think
it's just it's a funny Southern word. That's all.
It is funny. But no, I think that Jaren has been absolutely exceptional. Let's go ahead and let me give you my 2 things. My first one is going to be Steve-O. In the very first quarter, I saw that he did not look like he had it tonight, and I just don't know if it was the energy. Maybe honestly, he caught he's got a cold. I don't know. I'm not here to be Dr. Daniel. That's not my job. But it looks like he just wasn't himself. First thing I did was hit the under on his rebounds because I knew that was hard to get that number, that over 12.5, over 13.5 that he was going to get to. And so he just didn't look like himself. But there's no way in this world that I will ever talk bad about Steve-O because dude has been an absolute monster. I just think there might be something wrong with him because and I'm not looking for perfection. What are we talking about? I'm judging the guy by his gameplay. Okay. I'm not being mean. Okay. I'm just looking at it.
For anyone listening and not on the live feed, Daniel's getting called out for looking for perfection.
Yeah, I'm not looking for perfection, guys, right? I'm just saying he didn't look like himself, right? And then at the end of the day, his screens. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. He was talking to Chris. They're talking back and forth.
Keep going, Daniel. Stay on topic.
I'm over here trying to get angry at people. No, but Steve-O, he just didn't look like he had that punch or that playing with fun, I guess, in a sense, because usually he's goofy and he can throw around the guys. And honestly, it might be credit to Wendell Carter because he's a big dude. Like he's thick, but he's also got size on him. And honestly, a lot of these shots tonight, they were long rebounds. And what the reason there's long rebounds is because you're taking a lot of threes because you don't want to come in the paint against a guy like Jaren or even Steve-O. And so that's when you have a lot of long rebounds, and it's hard for the big guys to get the long rebounds. So that's the number one thing. The other thing is that I want to talk about is the Grizzlies taking care of business. In the past, the Grizzlies, they just haven't been a team that shows up and gets a business win. Tonight was a business win. Charlotte, that's the easy one to get, right? Because you're feeling comfortable. You're going to Charlotte. They're not good. They're probably the number 1 team that if you had a draft, they would have less players drafted off of their team more than anybody else. Nobody wants anybody else besides LaMelo. Maybe Kelly Oubre. Nobody's getting Gordon Hayward because he's hurt every other week. So that's the easy one. This is the hard one. Travel. You're going down to Disney World. You're trying to hang out with Mickey Mouse and then at nighttime. So you never know. So I think it's a good business win.
I agree. I was about to say someone's been listening to Vernon, eh? I mean, that was like you're almost like guys stopped, they're dead last night in Charlotte. I mean, I know I wasn't alone. I saw it on a lot of Grizz Twitter. People feeling genuinely bad for the Charlotte faithful last night. I mean, that was a tough watch. But tonight, listen, that team, that's a good, feisty Orlando team, right? I mean, they're under 500 by quite a bit, but they catch teams. They caught the Celtics twice in a row earlier this season. They got a lot of really good players there, and I've put it out there. Terrence Ross, all of a sudden, he lives up to his Human Torch nickname of Terrence Ross Pass when he's living in Toronto. I mean, every time he plays the Grizzlies, but mainly, I didn't really think the Grizzlies let up at the end that much, right? Like, obviously, they lost a little bit of focus, but the only atrocious stretch was when Conchar got his cookies taken and then Ja had the lazy pass. it was really those two plays. That was about the only time I was like, oh, wow, they've really got to lock it in. That can't happen. Other than that, Orlando got hot towards the end. Wagner really woke up at the end of the game. And Caro woke up in the second half. And so, good win. I had no negatives, issues from that win. Even Steve-O, I'm like, that's a monster who's being asked to do a lot night in, night out on a back-to-back. I think it's their second back-to-back in a row, right? Because it was Pelicans, Kings. Yeah, it's just, listen, he got tired legs. He has every reason to have tired legs. So,
yeah,
great win, great business win. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so what Corey said in the comments is Franz and Paolo have length and ball handling, and that's going to be good for them going forward. But also, to that same thing, length, ball handling. Hello, Grizzlies? Like, that is literally what the Grizzlies are doing. They're trying to get length. They're trying to get stretch bigs. They're trying to get their three, like a Ziaire, to be, a 6'11" guy. Like, that's what they want. And honestly, with this team tonight, you saw it, you can't push them around. The Grizzlies,
not at all.
They go in and they are the bully. Dylan bullies them a little bit. And honestly, they're big. You can't bully them as much. And so that's a very tough Magic team. They're not going to have a great record this year, right? And they probably don't want to. But the team that they could become behind Paolo is a team that, along Suggs, I like Suggs next to them, and even Fultz next to them, as the guard with Wendell Carter, who played really well tonight, and he's been a pretty good player. I think that they could be a really good team. They need a knockdown shooter, right? And right now they have 3 point guards in Fultz, Cole Anthony, and whoever I just talked about. Like, that
Suggs.
is really – yeah, and sorry. And that's who they have. They have 3 point guards, and they're trying to make them into be creators, but also shooters. And so if they could figure out a way to get just a knockdown shooter that can be a true shooting guard, I think that team could be really good. And so who knows? But I'm excited about their future. I'm also excited about the Grizzlies' future and what they have, because what they're doing is they're winning games that they should be winning. And one stat I want to share real quick. The Grizzlies now, let me get to it before I completely just, screw it up. All right. So if you go to like ESPN, if your app, whatever, and you go to expand it, if you look at the teams, they're 12-8 against teams that are above 500. That's not bad. If you look around the rest of the Western Conference, you see 11-7, 11-9, 12-9, and then the rest is all under 500 record against teams that are, when they play, that are 500 or better. So realistically, it's Memphis, Denver, New Orleans, and Dallas all have winning records against teams that are 500 or better. That is important, because that means they're winning good games against good teams. That doesn't happen every year. But also, if you look at below 500, the business wins, they're 13-5. And that is very important. If you look at a team like Sacramento, they're 9-13 against teams that are 500 or better. So they have a losing streak. I mean, they have a losing record against those 500 teams. But if you see a team that's below, they're 11-4. So they're beating up against the bad teams, and they're not playing as well against the good teams. And so that's what I look at when I look at a team, is how are we playing when we play actually the really good teams? Okay. What is the road record? What is the home record? Those are all important to me.
Well, and one thing for the Grizz too, that's better than what I thought it was going to be, because I'm not sure how long it lasted, but I know early in the year it was flipped for the Grizz. They were struggling against teams that were above 500 and beating up on teams that were below 500. So they're 4 games above 500 in that stat, 12-8. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
12-8. So that's actually gone up. That they've done a lot better in those games as of late. So they're trending in the right direction too, as far as that goes.
Absolutely. And conference, real quick, is they're 11-10, and at one point, like, that was their biggest issue, is they weren't winning games in the Western Conference. And so these obviously are, been Eastern Conference teams. They're not very good. We'll get back into the Western Conference coming up soon, especially with the Jazz on Sunday. So I expect the Grizzlies to keep on winning, keep on playing very well, especially if they're coming back home now.
Yeah, listen, they're playing good basketball. I think it was good for them to have to fight to close that game out. I didn't want them to be too comfortable going into 2 full days of rest. I don't think that's a recipe for success to go in on a crazy high note. So expect them to take care of Utah when they get back home.
Yeah. And honestly, the stretch that's coming up, Jazz, you play the Jazz at home Sunday, and then you have a Monday night. So you have another back-to-back. It seems like we're always on a back-to-back right now. It's against the Spurs, right? And then you have a day off. You play the Spurs again at home. So that 3-game homestand could be another 3 wins if you take care of business. And then you go on the road against Indiana. I feel good about that. And then you get to come back home, a TNT game against the Suns, and you owe the Suns due to what happened last time at home. And it's on TNT, so I'd imagine the guys are going to make sure they show up because we haven't been the best. We haven't been the best team at all on national TV. So it'd be great to actually have a game where they all show up. Be great.
Yeah, and listen, I don't think that Jazz Spurs homestand is anything to be looked past. That Jazz team can easily catch you on any given night, right? I mean, they beat the Grizz twice earlier in Utah. And then anytime you play a team twice in 2 games, so I don't care if it's back-to-back or not, that's tough to beat a team twice, right? So I would definitely caution against looking past those games. I don't know what the Grizz will do, but I think they will have learned their lesson after their latest letdown, not losing 4 out of 5. But tough stretch coming up. I think those 3 games actually is going to be tough to pull out all 3. 2 out of 3 they definitely should pull out, but they're going to get a fight to do it.
Wow. What have you been talking about lately? Trying to pull out? What are we doing, guys? Come on.
Dude,
I don't think it's that big of a deal, honestly, with these next 3 games. I think I literally almost pulled everything off of my thing when I was trying to turn off that heater. It was getting hot in here. I don't think that I really don't think that the Grizzlies will have issues, honestly. I think these 3 teams, they match up very well against, and they owe the Jazz, and I think they know that. And the Jazz are not playing well right now, and so I think that they owe the Jazz. And so
I also forgot Devin Vassell is about to he's going to be out getting some knee surgery. The tank has begun in San Antonio.
Yeah. Do you think they told him, hey, Devin, I think there's something wrong with your knee?
Same with SGA and OKC.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but let's look at it. Yeah, looks pretty bad. You got any like vacation time or anywhere you want to go? Like that'd be great.
Best I've ever felt, coach. Nah, your knee's messed up. Hey, I got something for you off this past game, unless you got a direction you really want to go in.
Nah, go ahead.
So Ziaire, obviously, is super encouraging for him tonight. We need to see bigger than a 1-game sample to know, hey, he's back to being what we know he can be. But that being said, he gets back to being what we know he can be, playing really, really well. Listen, Roddy came in his minutes tonight, and listen, he dribbled off his foot a couple times. Looks like he was trying to be in the World Cup, but all in all, played pretty well again tonight, right? Knocked down some threes, had some good drives. He's obviously the game's slowing down for him. He's played pretty well on the defensive end as of late as well. What do you think happens in the rotation if Ziaire gets back? Because if Ziaire gets back to that kind of form, he's over Roddy. There's no question about it, right? But Roddy's playing well to the extent he's been playing really well lately, and he's knocking down some outside shots. What are we doing? I mean, is all of a sudden Aldama getting shoot out? That Aldama's length and ability to space the floor but protect inside, that's tough to give up too. I mean, Conchar, I don't think you can take him out of the rotation. But it's a question mark, right? Like, well, for reasons that we talked about before, right? Like there's been nothing that's happened to Jitty where it's like, oh, we're going to take you. It would be, hey, you're not playing as well. Like your spot got taken, which is a hard thing to do to a guy, right? And it's not something that the Grizz have been super willing to do in the past. That's why, right?
Yeah.
Just call it what it would be. I mean, it's a question mark, though.
It's a big question mark, but it's also a time to grow up. like situation. Like, hey, this is where the big boys play, right? That's what they, isn't that what they said on TBS wrestling back on WCW? This is where the big boys play. Yeah, sorry, that's my wrestling nerdness is coming out. I just think that if it was me, I would look at matchups honestly, and kind of see what you need. But Roddy has been playing better than Conchar. He just has. And if Ziaire steps up, I think it's a decision that you need to make. I don't think Santi's played bad enough to get to, I guess, go under Conchar.
Tonight,
Conchar's
it's
doing
easy
enough.
to pick on Santi, right? Because he had a rough game, but in general, no.
Correct. And so I think it's going to figure itself out. I think what you do, especially with how it's been going with injuries, right? You just give people a rest. What you end up having is a 11-man rotation. Every game, one player just sits, right? Hey, get some rest. Get some rest. Like, obviously, it's the NBA. You're playing 3 to 4 games a week. And so, with that being said, is hey, tonight, Conchar, you're going to get a DMP, right? Whether it's actually he's on the injury report or hey, you're just not playing. Let's take a night off and just enjoy the night off. And then literally you can do that with those younger guys because what happens is more guys get to play, but then that extra guy gets extra rest. It'll keep you healthy for later on. I'm not saying you're going to actually use them in the playoffs, but you might. He obviously likes a 10-man rotation in the first round, definitely, except for late in games. But I don't know. I think everything will figure itself out. But looking at what's emerging, I think there's real conversations this year about the trade deadline. The Grizzlies have never really been involved. And I think this is the first year that they have a chance to really be involved. And I don't know what that looks like. I had my guy, right? I had him circled. I have a running list of who I like that are tradable players, what they make, how many years are left on their contract, what you have to do to give up to get them. My number one guy was Devin Vassell. And that was my guy because he's young. He doesn't get paid a lot, right? What do the Grizzlies have right now? The Grizzlies have a lot of picks. They also have a lot of players. They have a lot of picks. He was making $5 million a year. So obviously they would hold on to him and potentially extend him past that extra year he has next year. But what happens is if you're able to get him, you throw 2 first-round picks and a decent player at him, that's an easy one. And that's a little consolidation, an upgrade in an easier way. And so that obviously can't happen now, which I'm completely just not a fan of. Pretty upset.
Well, but you got the right idea, right? It's we don't need to go get a big 3 other star to come in and join this team, right? We've got the 3. We've got the 3 that complement each other exceptionally well. We just need those role players, right? And you've got the right idea. I haven't watched enough Spurs, honestly, to comment in any kind of competent way on Vassell. I've seen him play a couple of times where he popped off. I've seen him play a couple of times. I'm like, he sucks. So I'll attribute that to you. But you hop into the team no trade. I saw that. But you hop into guys like Malik Beasley's out there to be had. The Raptors, there's a good chance they're moving guys, right? There's a lot of different options to be had where you can go get somebody to just slide in and play that role, right? Like Chris said in the chat, role players win championships. That's what you need. You just need those role players. And so I know I love Malik Beasley. Jordan Clarkson's been a guy that I know a lot of Grizzlies fans love. I just have a hard time seeing them moving on from him, to be honest. I think he's a piece they keep no matter what. But a lot of guys out there. Wow. I do. I think he's a culture guy for them. Being here, and I actually have sort of a friend who's involved in the organization. They've done a lot to sort of center on him and build around him from a purely just like a media standpoint. So
and who is that? Not your friend.
Jordan Clarkson.
Okay,
Jordan Clarkson.
I wasn't sure if you were talking about Malik Beasley or not, but
no, not Malik Beasley. I'd have zero inclinations that they're holding on to Malik Beasley too tightly.
You know what? I'm just what the Grizzlies do this year. I'm about keeping our guys, right? All about it. The problem with is you need a punch off of the bench. And if there's not going to be a punch off the bench, I think that's what hurts them when we come to playoffs. The Grizzlies are one of the top, the worst 5, right? One of the bottom 5 teams in half-court basketball. And what is the playoffs? The playoffs are half-court basketball. It just is. The Grizzlies, I'll use an analogy real quick and tell me if it sucks or tell me if it's great. But think about a boxing match, right? They're both throwing jabs the whole time. That's what I consider a playoff basketball game. It's jab after jab, back and forth, back and forth. When you see somebody hit somebody with an uppercut, their eyes get a little blurry and they take a step back, they're a little wobbly. At that point, you might see the whole fight flip and you can actually start going after them. And then it's the momentum, and then consistently beating them up, a consistent punch. Like, that's what you need. You need the guy who can give you that uppercut, whether it's in the second quarter, third quarter, early in the fourth quarter, something that just gives you a good uppercut to get them kind of backed up, get their eyes watery, and actually finish them with Ja Morant. I think that's what you need, because you're going to have our starters, who are our best players, playing majority of the minutes, and they're going to be playing, and they're going to be butting heads, like 2 Rams butting heads the whole time. If you give somebody an uppercut, bringing off somebody off the bench, that can just get hot in a flurry like Melton could. Like Melton could get hot in a flurry. It's just you never got that playoff basketball. But if you could get that off of the bench, you don't need it every night. You just need it some nights. And I don't like Sexton. Chris is saying Sexton. I don't like Sexton. He's too small. I need a 2 guard. I need a true shooting guard if they want to be a true championship contender this year. It doesn't mean they can't win it. They can win a championship with this team right now. But if you want to try to make it a little bit easier on yourself, give yourself a better fighting chance, I think you got to go get a true shooting guard. I like Barton's okay. I'm not high on him, but Bojangles, Clarkson, and Fournier, what Chris is saying, I'm fine with any of them. I think the money's gonna be kind of tough in some areas.
Yeah, I think the money makes it a little bit tough. I mean, me and Chris both love Bogey, right? That's a guy who we've been talking about since the summer. It's like, find a way to go get him, and he's available now. I fully think that that's a move they should look to make. I think they'll get outbid by somebody, because somebody be willing to give up their version of a Dylan Brooks, whereas the Grizzlies won't do that. I think, but still, if you can make that happen, let's go for it. I don't necessarily think it needs to be a shooting guard. Like, I think we always think of like the Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams types. You've got Jordan Clarkson is probably the best example of that now, that can go get in a heater. I think you just need those guys that, even if they're not the one with the balls in their hands all the time, it can be somebody who you have Tyus, but they just find a way. They get him open 3 times in a row and they knock down threes. That's what I like about Bogey. Bogey has an added bonus if he can create his own shot. He's kind of like a slow-mo that hits threes in a way,
right,
in that type of way. But you just need that, because I think as far as the guys who can get on heaters outside of Ja, you've got that in a Bane, right? You even have that in a Tyus, right? We've seen Tyus get hot and be able to do that. It's not what he's known for, but he's able to do it. I don't think you have to have a crazy punch. I think what they're missing actually is more of the jab. I think they're missing more of the guy who, throughout the game, you get him an open shot, he knocks it down. The Grizzlies don't have that consistently, right? The hope is Ziaire can turn into that. Roddy can turn into that. Even though Dylan had an off night, I think he has been a lot more consistent from 3 this year. I haven't looked at his percentages in a while, though, so I'm not positive. But the Grizzlies have the big shot guys, right? Morant knocks down those big shots. Bane hits it from distance. Jaren has nights like tonight. They need the guy that's just going to hit the shot. You get it to him, he's just going to hit the shot. And so I'm with you on the strategy. I think differently, because I think we need the jab. I think we have the uppercut.
Okay. No, I like it. Boss man? No. I don't want Jay Crowder. I don't want
Jay Crowder.
That's a guy who I don't want. Not that he's not a decent player. The fact that there's issues around him now, he's not going to play. Like, just come on. Something I will say, and what I really think that we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen a team where Ja has been playing pretty consistent, pretty well. Jaren playing pretty good, pretty consistent, pretty well. Steve-O playing pretty consistent, pretty well. Dylan playing pretty consistent, pretty well. Those 4 guys, they have been playing pretty consistent, pretty well. Desmond Bane has not joined that group yet.
Yep.
Ziaire Williams has not joined that group yet. Potentially, and this is not probably a true statement, but Ziaire Williams with an open shot is very good. He's definitely top 3 probably on our team when he's filling himself. So with those 2 guys, that's shooters. We have not seen those 2 guys add it to whatever's happening in the other 4.
But Daniel, I think that's the problem. I think when you're saying Ziaire is going to be our 3rd best shooter and you're wanting to have that count on in the playoffs, that's a problem, right? And that's the guy. Ziaire is not a guy who you want to be the uppercut guy. He is a jab guy. He's the guy that you need to be able to kick it out to and hit that shot. And I'm not saying at all I don't think Ziaire can be that. We've seen him be that in decent amount of stretches. When it comes playoff time, you don't want to have to count on Ziaire Williams to hit that shot. You want that to be Malik Beasley. You want that to be Bojangles. You want that to be
Malik Beasley?
Jeremy Grant. Yeah, dude. Malik Beasley hit big shots against us in the playoffs last year.
Okay.
That happened. Yes, I would rather have Malik Beasley taking the shot than Ziaire. Now, right now, Z is the karate chop. Z is the one that comes for the kneecap when you're not looking. But no, that is
the leg, Z. Sweep the leg.
How often am I the one keeping the show on the tracks? This is not good. Does not bode well for the way this show is going to go in about 10 minutes. But that's a problem. That's a problem. You need the guy that you can kick it out to who's going to hit the shot. And Ziaire Williams is not who you want to be that unless he takes a massive leap in the manner of consistency this year. It's just not what you want.
Are you done, Mr. Pouty Pants over there? God,
Mr.
We're just
Pouty
having a little
Pants.
fun. All of our friends are here watching us, hanging out with us, chatting it up, and you're just over here, Mr. Pouty Pants.
For some reason, I have to be the adult tonight,
cold?
which is a problem.
Is it because you're cold? Like you're there in a bunch of snow and it's cold? Is that
No,
why?
I'm having fun because I'm warm and it's going to snow tomorrow and I'm going to be on the mountain. And I'm not sick for the first time in days, so I can mentally keep up with you tonight. The other night when we had Funaki on, I was so out of it. I was like, yeah, sounds good. Sniff. It was terrible. No, someone has to be the adult, Daniel. And for some reason, you're making it be me.
Yeah. Well,
terrible
first
game
time
plan.
in your life. First time in your life. Well, let's
Correct.
go ahead and get into the predictions kind of for the Jazz game and a little bit, probably the doubleheader that we're playing against the Spurs. Before that, if you have any merch that you want to find, Grizz901 merch, grindcitydesigns.com/Grizz901. Go get your Grizz901. I think they look good. I think our shirts have looked very good. And it just shows up the 901, the city, the team. I think it all kind of comes together. Zach Jaworski State Farm is our presenting sponsor. If you need any kind of insurance at all, whether it is automobile, if you're a renter and you need renter's insurance, if you rent a condo, or if you have a place somewhere else and you need insurance, call Zach and his team at 901-443-4798 at ZachInsuresMemphis.com. Again, Zach Jaworski State Farm, where they treat you like family. Let's get into the game predictions real quick. They have the game Sunday. I'm trying to go. My little kids, my 2 little girls, Miss Penelope and Miss Margot, have never been to a Grizzlies game. It's at 5 o'clock on Sunday. I'm trying to go. I'm trying to take them. So for one, if you have tickets, if you have 4 tickets and you want to sell them, hit me up. You can hit me up on Grizz Lead. I have not bought them yet. If you hit me up at Grizz901 Podcast, follow us over there. But I am going to purchase some for Sunday, and we're going to go as a family with my wife and go to the game. So that'll be a fun time. We'll share some pictures of especially little Miss Margot, who is definitely a big Grizz fan. Not Grizzlies, Grizz fan. They love Grizz and they love Morant, who sometimes they confuse with Michael Jordan. And I blame it on Space Jam, but they get those confused sometimes. But what's your thoughts about the any predictions on the game? Obviously, Lauri Markkanen, I think he dropped 46 tonight on the heads of the Rockets, who don't play defense and aren't very good. So anything you like or see predicting about that game?
Yeah, Grizz win. I think you're right. The Grizz know they owe them one. They're going to come out full strength for the first time this year facing them. And I think the Jaren versus Markkanen matchup is going to be pretty fun to watch. I think that's going to be exciting. But Markkanen is not the Giannis type of brute force player that can get Jaren in foul trouble that also plays on the perimeter. He's the perimeter guy. It's a finesse guy who is the kind of guy that Jaren matches up well against. So I'm excited for that. And it would be great to see Jaren go up against a guy who is a truly in the all-star conversation this year in the Western Conference and be able to really win that matchup. I think it's important for him to win one of those matchups because in the big games this year, he's gotten himself into foul trouble, gotten a little in over his head. Want to see him not do that this game. But yeah, I think it'll be a good game, but I think the Grizzlies will do sort of what they've been doing and stay ahead, then pull away late.
Okay. I don't believe – I'm going to look at their schedule real quick. I'm not seeing the Jazz schedule. I would imagine they're not playing a game before then, especially with travel. Wow. Okay, they do. They're on a back-to-back with travel. So they played in Houston tonight, and then they're going to play Saturday against the Bulls. And so it's going to be their third game in 4 days with travel. I won't say it's the East Coast, but it's definitely far from home. And it's the last game before they do go back on a 3-game homestand. So I would imagine that the Grizzlies will have, with the 2 days off of rest, sometimes 2 days off isn't the best thing for a team. But I think with travel getting back, especially playing on a back-to-back right now, looking at, how Steve-O looked tonight, where he just looked like he was just drained. He's only got 7,000 rebounds over the last 3 games, and he's still short of Wilt Chamberlain, probably by another 1,000 rebounds, the way Wilt grabbed every single rebound in life. But I think that this game will be good, and I think that it is a coming out game for Jaren because he can match up very well against Lauri Markkanen. And the rest of the team, it's all about, can they guard the 3-point line? Nobody else on that team is scary. There's nobody else is going to do anything, especially to Steve-O, right? He can do whatever he wants on that game. But we weren't healthy in those first 2 games in Utah. We had Bane out 1 game. We had Ja out 1 game. So I would expect that the Grizzlies want to make sure they take care of business with a full and healthy squad.
The biggest thing is going to be staying connected defensively, right? Like you want to make those heavy legs from the back-to-back feel even heavier by making them work for their shots. Don't give up a bunch of easy shots because you're over-helping. Those guys, they love to move the ball around and get open threes. Don't let them do that without putting up a contest, making them really work for it. But that's really, you're right. I mean, there's not anything else that scares you. There's nobody on their team that terrifies you, right? Just don't give them open threes and you'll be okay. And let's keep Jaren out of foul trouble.
Yep. So over here in the comments, Chris said, "Hey, be careful on the mountain, please, sir."
No.
And I don't know if Chris knows this, but Nathan doesn't actually go and ski or sled or anything. He doesn't do anything. He actually takes the pictures for his wife so she can put them up on her blog. And so not a big deal. He won't get hurt. He'll make sure he wears his snow boots and his snow bibs and make sure he stays all good and warm, right?
The boots with the fur.
Yeah, boots with that fur. So what I want to see out of these, my prediction, this is not the game prediction. This is a next 3 games at home prediction. I think we're going to see Desmond Bane bounce back. And that's what I'm excited to see is because you have 3 games at home. And I think it's time where now he's going to have 3 days off. Probably going to hit the conditioning pretty hard. And I would expect that Desmond Bane, within these 3 games, I think I think the switch finally gets flipped. And I think you're going to see the Bane of old. And at that point, we might have all 5 starters on the floor playing very good basketball. And that would be what I want to see coming out of these next 3 games, because if we get Bane back, it's over, man. Bane is that good. He unlocks everything on this team. He is your ultimate jabber, since we're just using that analogy all night.
This was your fault. He already started to unlock a little bit against the Kings, right? We've already saw it a little bit. And, we've seen flashes since he's been back, but the Kings game, he was consistently doing things he was doing before he got hurt. So we've already seen it a little bit. I'm with you. I think either Utah or San Antonio, one of those 3 matchups is going to be the coming out party. No, I'm sure. I was thinking in my head, I'm like, will he play the back-to-back, right? And I think this will be the last.
There is no back-to-back.
He takes off.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday. You're apologizing.
Sunday and Monday, day off, second Spurs matchup. So I'm wondering if he'll play that first Spurs matchup. But I think one of those first 2 games, he's going to have the coming out party. I think he'll play the back-to-back. But they need it. They're going to need it. There's going to be a point in one of those 3 games for sure where they need a big shot and they need Dez to be the one to make it. So let's hope. Because I think if he makes those shots and he does turn it on, they go 3-0. I think if he doesn't, probably 2-1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a sweep of the homestand. And what are they at now? 5-game win streak? Is that correct?
I think it's 5.
5. Do we trust? Yes, but we're going to verify. Trust but verify. I think my mom said that once. There's probably a lot of people that say that, but trust but verify.
Are you watching this Clippers Nuggets game, by the way?
No, not. What's going on?
It's rough. The PG Kawhi is not working right now. It's rough. It's 25-63. I'll let you guess what shit they're on.
All right, so the Grizzlies officially will not have sole control over first place. We're going to go ahead and announce that. We're going to predict that hammer nail coffin. It's over. We're going to share first place after tonight when Denver beats the Clippers. I do want to say that honestly, the show's been doing much better than I hoped and expected. But we still want to get a. If you have a chance, go give us a rate review on podcasting, but also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Obviously, if you're here, you're watching, but we're going to keep giving you more and more content. So we can't thank you enough for kind of hanging out with us, but solely, we're going to be bringing more people on to kind of stop by and be doing little spot. Yes. I guess a pit stop in, whatever, have a little bit of a break. Listen, my brain's tired. What do you got, Nick?
The one thing I wanted to say before we wrapped up, we always say, be nice, tell your friends. The way we wrap up every single show. I want to give a shout out to Grizz fans, Grizz Twitter, Grizz Nation, however you want to call it. DeMar Hamlin opened his eyes, was with his family today. Awesome moment. The reason I want to give a shout out to everybody here and everybody on Grizz Twitter, I saw nothing but positivity through all of Grizz Twitter. And there was a ton of, it got political. There's people getting mad at Skip Bayless. There's people getting mad at the doctors and family spokespeople. And it's just one of those things that I don't understand why that happens in time like this. I try and stay off of Twitter about it, but I was putting in the group text. I'm like, why aren't people just praying for this kid and sending their thoughts and sending their prayers? And in our Grizz family, that's all I saw were people that were sending thoughts and prayers, and then were just overjoyed when positive updates came in. So that's what makes this space awesome. It's what makes coming on here. If it wasn't for that family, I wouldn't be here with Grizz 901 and Grizz Lead. It's what makes this space fun. What makes being a fan of this team fun, and is what makes part of the city of Memphis awesome, is people coming together like that. And it was cool to see it play out in real time in that kind of situation. So obviously, thanks be to God. Super thankful that DeMar Hamlin is doing well and has a lot of positive outlook today. But shout out to all of you guys that listen and are part of this family. Did really good when a lot of people didn't. So love that.
Look at us growing up. Look at us.
I know.
I will say, though, you said about Memphis and the Grizz family, dude, it's not just Memphis anymore. It's not. Like Grizz Twitter, I'm watching like people that follow us and people that we follow and different people that are coming through. It's blowing up. And I'm not saying that it's like getting ginormous. The fact that now it's getting where it's worldwide in a sense, because there's people that literally the sun is up right now as they're listening to this show, like live. And so give a shout out to everybody, you know, across the pond as well, but also just kind of our brethren here in the city. A lot of good things that come out of it. I'm glad you said that. Glad you brought it up, because that is important, that we are a good crew. And that's honestly above all, honestly. So yeah, if you have a second, give us a rate review. It helps us. If you hit the like button on the YouTube channel, then it gives us a better spot algorithm, whatever. We're trying to blow this thing up, right? We're trying to have fun with this. And so why not? Let's beg a little bit at the end of the show. But that's all we have. If you're listening on podcast, thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, continue to keep coming back. I don't know when we will be back. I will not be doing a Sunday show. As I said, I will be with family. So we will not be here. But Monday and Wednesday, is that right? Monday, Wednesday? Yep. We'll have shows, both Spurs games, but they're during the week, so we'll definitely have those shows. But if we have nothing else, the most important thing is be nice and tell your friends.